Welcome to this week's deep dive. This week, we have an interesting one in that we're not really doing a deep dive from a Twitter chat. We're doing a deep dive from a live in-person chat that happened at ASI Chicago. So this week, we are joined by Ashley Colautti from commonsku, Johanna Gottlieb from Axis powered by Halo, and Jay Bussele from FlexPoint. So welcome, everyone.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
We're excited to have you just because for those of us like me who were left at home watching on social and everything, just being like, just fingers and nose up against the glass, watching everyone have fun at the first trade show, we wanted to kind of gather everyone's thoughts on what happened there and how it was. And so we have an interesting mix of Ashley was working the show floor, Johanna was walking the show floor, and Jay was presenting on the show floor. And so off the top of your head, what was your first impression when you got there of like, oh, we're back to trade shows now? Like, Ashley, what was yours?
We did not know what to expect going into this. I had no idea it would be so busy. So after the initial shock of being free from Canada and being able to take off my mask, actually getting to the show, right when it kicked off, it was the busiest trade show booth I have ever worked. And I've been doing trade shows for like 15 years. It was so busy and so positive, and people were so happy to be there. It was such a great experience.
That's awesome. And Joe, what was the viewpoint from walking it and sort of experiencing that?
Yeah, so it was definitely interesting for me because you guys know I'm in Chicago. So leading up to the show, the buzz of everyone flying in, getting hotels, staying was so exciting for me to have everyone in town, if you will. And I have to say, it didn't really start at the show floor. It started the Monday night of the show. I think many people planned this trip accordingly and had meetings with clients during the week and took a little bit, maybe a day or two to see Chicago and do things in Chicago and meet up and network with others in the industry after all this time. So Monday night, I know I had dinner with a few folks from commonsku, some friends, and the electricity in the room was just amazing. There was people that haven't, left Canada, people that haven't done a restaurant, and just being together and seeing you in person and not in a box was kind of surreal. And so after that, you left that thinking, I can't wait to see who I'm going to see tomorrow night. We always all make the time for the networking, but knowing that it was going to be really special this time was super important to me. And so I walked the show Thursday, so the second day of the show, and I have to say they were extremely organized. Check-in was very smooth. They had done a really good job of pre-sending badges, just efficiency, less touch points. Just I think from a COVID perspective, people thought efficiency was more important than ever. And so as soon as you got onto the show floor, you were sort of ready to go. Again, energy in the room, you could definitely feel it. You could see, like, my eyes were darting to see who I would see first and run to them. But booths were great. People were energetic, ready to talk about, products, process, all of that. And for me, having the conversations with suppliers about product wasn't really on the forefront. I think Zoom and this past year has made us so good at checking vendors' websites for new products, going to them, asking them what's selling, asking them what's trending, asking them about deco methods. So I've sort of, in this touch and feel universe, gotten so trained to learning about it myself versus needing to touch and feel everything and seeing the samples. So when I went to the store, when I went to the show, I wanted to be strategic about my time in booths, and I didn't want to say what's new, show me the product. I wanted to have those one-on-one conversations about inventory pain points, what's happening in the supply chain. We've had so many phone calls with our partners about this for the last few months. To have that one-on-one time to talk, one-on-one on that, talk about, less labor in their workforce, in the supply chain, all of that, just in person was great. And it wasn't, a bad or hard conversation. It was just a real conversation that you could have in real time. That is something I really value.
That's so interesting. Like, so what was out of that was the major standpoint where you came back and you're like, I have to tell everyone about the supply chain?
I'm glad you asked. I actually sent an email on the way home from the show to everyone at Access. We have a mass email, we can send something. And I was like, I just left, check my Instagram stories for product and deco methods. I tried to quickly snapshot and click and tag companies if you want to see products. I let my clients know as well. I will see products. I'm going to share it here, screenshot it. But if you want to talk deeper about inventory and supply control and who's got it nailed down, DM me, let's talk. And so a few people at Access reached out. I think honesty was really good. I think suppliers are really worried about the fourth quarter. A few people felt so confident about the inventory level as they purchased and what was going to happen in the fourth quarter but I had a lot of, look me in the eye, fourth quarter, we're all going down. We have some clients really unhappy. Nobody was like crying or gripping onto the walls, but I think there was real conversations. We're in a really bad place right now. We're probably going to get out of it spring of next year. Please prepare your clients now. And we're talking now about fourth quarter so that we have something to give, and this is the year for me, I think. During the pandemic, we did the kits, we did all the client giftings, we sent things to people's homes, and employee appreciation came back. But I think this quarter, as you go back into the office, our clients are going to think about more recognition than ever. And so you really have to plan, because I think they want to value those people that stayed, value the people that, maybe were furloughed and brought back, and they're going to think about gifting, and you really need to talk to them about that now.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm seeing. And we're pushing here as well. It's sort of like, hey, Christmas in July kind of vibe. And yeah, so Jay, you were like right at the front of that, where you were doing education on the first day, when people were probably like, oh, another human being next to me. What did you find the vibe to be for the first day and for the rest of the show? Like, how did it come in waves for you?
Great question. So I flew in Monday night and education day started on Tuesday. I like how ASI does it, and PPI does this as well, where they dedicate the whole day before the show. I really wish there was a way to involve or include suppliers more. I don't know how that would work, but it was, in a word, electric. It was awesome. Seriously, it was. I had, some pretty high level conversations with the folks at ASI, and they had no idea what to expect. And you have to give them, you have to really appreciate this, because yes, people pre-register for the show, but they don't know who's actually going to show up. So, 100 people say they're going to go to education day, or it's a lot more than that, but they don't really know. So they set my room for 50 people, which is based on historics, thinking, well, last year we thought, 100, and that's what we set the room for. And even though it's a new topic, it's Jay or it's Cliff or it's whoever. And so they kind of have a feel for those logistics. They were bringing in more chairs real fast. And so it was cool to see several of our sessions, one of mine, one of Cliff's, Matthew Cohen, ASI, his session was packed. People were standing room only in my session. And I'm like, is this literally happening? Like, what? And you have that moment where you're like, I'm so glad it's not me, and I know that sounds weird, but it's not just me. It's not just Cliff. It's not just whoever. It's the energy of the show. It's the content. It's we're hungry. We're back. I can't wait to learn something to apply right now for the rest of 2021 and launch me into the 2022. So it was electric. It was fantastic. And from a medical standpoint, from a pandemic standpoint, a paranoia standpoint, or reality standpoint, wherever you stand on this, everyone was super cool. People realized that there are those that want to mask up, or those that want the distance, and there are those that could not wait to hug you and, be all over you. So whatever you were doing, you could see a little awkwardness at first.
Yeah.
And bam, I saw so many people running from across the room to hug each other. And I was just like, oh, that hit me right in the heart. I mean, it was good. It was really good.
That's I would be that person just like slamming into people with hugs. So I have this question for you guys as well, is because I think what's happening out there is some people are very excited to be back in person, and some people are very hesitant. And, we have a lot going on in sort of vaccination, not vaccinated, masked, unmasked. How did you find the mood to be there? Like, were a lot of people wearing a mask? Were they not? Do you feel like people wanted the extra safety precautions, or were they there for just a mental break more than anything? Anyone can jump in on that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Kate. In fact, you know what, Ashley, you have a better perspective because you just came down from Canada.
Yeah, I mean, it was like entering into an alternate universe where the pandemic didn't hit as hard, I guess. I actually got to hug Jay and Johanna in person.
Yes.
I think it was probably my first hug with Jay, and we approached each other. I think you were about to do like a fist bump, and I was like, forget that, we're hugging. And I was in Jay's session, and it was neat. I think it was a bigger room than they would normally use. It did feel that way. So even though there were a ton of people that showed up, which was awesome, I got a seat right in the front because I had the times messed up. So I was there like an hour early, and
you're a keener, we got it.
I thought you were just really eager and excited to see me.
Yeah, I was super excited to see you. but they had it set up so that it felt safe. So there were tables and then one person on each side. So you were spread out more. But then on the actual show floor, it was just like everyone was together. Some people had masks, most of them didn't. But it, like, I would say after the first 30 minutes of being in Chicago, I just kind of like felt fine with it. I'm fully vaccinated and it was kind of back to normal in a way, but just way more exciting and happy.
Yeah, like summer camp kind of reunion.
Kind of, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, and Joe, what did you think of the show floor? Like, where on safety precautions and safety feelings did you feel?
Yeah, so because I attended Thursday, I sort of got a sneak peek of Wednesday from a colleague that went, and I, it was like, were people wearing masks? What was the vibe? And there was no signage at McCormick or anything about, any rules. Normally in Chicago for a grocery store or public place, it says, if you are vaccinated, it is your choice to wear a mask. I didn't see any signage at McCormick. I would hope that anybody that wasn't vaccinated was masks, and there were people wearing masks. I would say 5% of the people. And then, yeah, just people, I think, were so respectful about, did you want the hug? Did you want the handshake? It was like a lot of side hugs. So it was a little awkward at first, but everybody wanted to just give the love. So people were respectful. And some people even asked, like, do you prefer a handshake or a fist bump? So it was good.
Yeah.
Really interesting. So I'm curious as well, is because a lot of people, I remember late last year, they were talking about how they felt like their product of 2020 didn't really get a true showing. And so they were really just going to sort of cycle it and push it again. I wonder, like, did you see a lot of new products there? Was PPE like a strong point? Was it still part of it? Have we all just decided that we're not doing that anymore? Or what did you see as sort of trending there? What are the cool kids buying there, Joe? Tell us.
There was a lot of great decoration methods that it was good to see in person, whether it was, tone on tone gloss. The drinkware has come a long way. Some apparel suppliers really did a really good job of showing new decoration methods around embroidery. In terms of PPE, I do see this even without going to a show, it's not going away. And listen, sales have dropped. But I think even as we go back to the office, people are going to want their little stack of masks at their desk and their home one. I think, like, I know personally when I fly, I'm not going to think twice in the future about masks, even when it's not required. It's something, feels like something we should have been doing on planes anyway. So I think PPE now is more incorporated into kits. You'll see like a lot of safety kits. So people are going to want to have it work. They're little, you guys know, I know you have your favorite masks at home on your hook in your organized areas. You're going to want that at work as well. We're not all back at work yet. And so I think you're going to want that at work. I think people are trying to push it in like more cutesy aspects, with a bag, with a water bottle, just something extra to have with you.
Interesting. So this is kind of a question for Jay and Ashley, just because you are working the show floor. As a trade show nerd, did you see difference in design of booths? Like even just from what people were committing in terms of size or product or salespeople that they were bringing? Like did it strike you as the before and the after, or did it feel the same?
We went with a bigger booth than we normally would at that show. And we could have gone a little bigger even, and we could have had more people because of how busy it was. But it was so busy that I didn't even get to really walk the show floor. There was one booth that really stood out to me. It's a supplier called Conic, and they had made it look, do you remember this one, Joe? They had like a wood floor and wood paneling. They do these really cool journals. And it felt like you were going into like almost like somebody's house, and it was really friendly. I loved seeing that, like very inviting instead of just like, here's what we do.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that for sure.
Interesting. So to wrap up quickly, was there anything like, what was your favorite thing about the show besides hugs and new product? What stands out as you're like, oh my God, I forgot I missed that? Or the flip side, oh my God, I forgot to wear nice shoes.
We had the double cushioning in our booth, and let me tell you, it was well worth it. The one thing that was a really like happy outcome is that people came in and they wanted to have conversations, and I forgot how much I missed just talking to people face to face, and body language, and not just seeing them in a little box. It was really great.
That's so cool too.
I will say there was a lot of great products, but it was definitely seeing your reps in person after all this time and being able to thank them in person, thank them for every, the hard work that suppliers put in this year, man, to get people back in the office safely does not go unnoticed by us. And just to be able to have those conversations in person, that was definitely the winner for me. And then the networking and happy hours at, Punch Bowl and all the fun dinners were so worth it.
That's so cool. And Jay, what was your lasting high from that?
I had so many, it's hard to pinpoint. I had a couple. One was, if you've ever been to an ASI show, specifically ASI, they do a really good job of welcoming everyone. They really do their best to, from high to low, there's really no judgment, whether you're a supplier, exhibitor, whether you're $100,000 in sale or 100 million in sale. To see chairman of the board, Norman Cohen, still walking around at 80 plus years with his red hat on, to stop over, he knows me, to shake my hand and say, Jay, we really appreciate that you're here. I was touched again. I got goosebumps again. I was like, I remember the first ASI trade show I went to, and literally in the men's and women's restrooms, and I only know the women's because I double checked from somebody else, they had little flowers and little pots that said, thank you for being here. So when you go to that level of detail to appreciate the audience, it feels right. And to have that happen after 18 months or 16 months or however long you were stuck or locked down or avoiding people, it was beyond memorable. And so the final thing I'll say is I was able to stop for a second with him, with Cliff Quicksell, pose for a photo. We took a great photo together. I looked like a bum that just came off the streets. Sorry. Someday I'll clean up. Cliff looked polished. Of course, Norman Cohen looks distinguished. But we took the picture, and then what he said to me was really lasting. And I asked him if I could quote him on this, and he said, absolutely. He said, and I didn't, he just like said this. They took the picture and he goes, we're back and we're growing. And I was just like, yes, like for all of us, not just ASI, you could tell like we're back and we're growing as an industry. And it was a touchy feely moment for me. I won't soon forget.
I've got goosebumps just from you retelling it.
Yeah. What a fabulous way to end on it. So I'm sad I missed the first trade show back, but hopefully we will see all of you. And everyone, if you see one of us on the floor for any future trade show, come say hi. And thank you, Jay, Ashley, and Joe for joining us on the deep dive. Thank you for Maple Ridge Farms for being a sponsor of our deep dives. And everyone join us for PromoChat every week, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern or noon Pacific. Thanks, guys.
Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at promokitchen.org. Weekly newsletter, such fun content. You will not regret it. promokitchen.org.
Really good newsletter. Sign up to be a mentor. We have a new mentorship program. You know what, Joe, we could just keep listing everything. Just guys, just
things.
promokitchen.org. Figure out everything we do. It's all awesome. Thanks, everyone.